Why, friends, success doesn't start with action. It starts with thinking, and not just any thinking, correct thinking. You can't have a beautiful garden with weeds in your mind. You can't build a palace on shaky beliefs. You've got to learn how to think in a way that builds you, not breaks you. So today, I'll teach you how to think correctly, because if you can think right, you can live right. Your thoughts are the architects of your life. Every building starts with a blueprint, and your life is no different. The problem is, most people are living inside mental houses they didn't design. They're walking through rooms built by fear, past experiences, and other people's opinions. They don't even realize that the structure they call life was drafted by thoughts they never examined. But here's the truth. You are the architect. Every belief you hold, every decision you make, every action you take begins as a single thought. If your thinking is small, your results will be small. If your thoughts are expansive, so will be your opportunities. Life is simply a mirror reflecting the architecture of your inner world. You can't build confidence out of self-doubt. You can't construct peace from chaos. You can't live richly with a poverty mindset. You have to first redesign the blueprint. You have to sit down with your own thoughts and say, what kind of house am I building? Is it strong enough to stand when the storm comes? Does it represent who I want to become? Most people wait for circumstances to change before they start thinking differently. But that's backward. Circumstances don't shape your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your circumstances. A wealthy mind will create wealth even from scratch, while a poor mind will lose fortune even in abundance. The soil of life doesn't care what seeds you plant. It simply grows what you give it. So plant wisely. Start being intentional about your inner dialogue. Begin each day with thoughts of gratitude, discipline, and growth. When you catch yourself complaining, correct it with perspective. When you notice fear creeping in, replace it with faith. Because thoughts are like bricks. One negative brick may seem small, but over time it builds a wall that blocks your potential. So build carefully, build consciously, build with vision, because the greatest construction project you'll ever undertake isn't your career, your home, or your bank account, it's your mind. Once you design that well, everything else falls into place. The outer world simply becomes a reflection of the inner architect. Don't believe everything you think. That might sound strange at first, but it's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. You see, not every thought that enters your mind is true. Not every voice in your head deserves your attention. Your mind is like a radio. It picks up signals from your past, from your fears, from your environment, and from your insecurities. And if you don't learn to tune it, it will play whatever noise it catches. Most people live their lives ruled by unexamined thoughts. They assume that if they think it, it must be true. I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. This always happens to me. Those aren't facts, those are echoes of old programming. The mind loves patterns, and it will keep repeating the same thoughts you've believed for years, whether they're serving you or destroying you. That's why you've got to become the gatekeeper of your own mind. Not every thought deserves to walk freely into your belief system. When a thought shows up, don't just accept it, challenge it. Ask, where did you come from? Who told me this? Is this truth, or is it fear talking? You'll be amazed at how many of your thoughts were never yours to begin with. They came from people who didn't believe in themselves, from society's limitations, from moments of failure that you turned into permanent identities. Correct thinking means you become the judge, not the prisoner, of your own mind. And here's something important. Your mind's job is survival, not success. It's wired to protect you, not to promote you. That's why it whispers things like, stay safe, don't risk it, what if you fail? It's trying to shield you from pain, but in doing so, it also blocks you from growth. To think correctly, you must re-educate your mind. Train it to see possibilities where it sees problems, to spot opportunity instead of obstacles. You can't stop thoughts from coming, but you can decide which ones to water. Don't give attention to every passing worry, every old memory, every doubt. Thoughts gain power only when you believe them. The more you argue for your limitations, the more real they become. So stop defending the thinking that keeps you small. Your thoughts should serve you, not sabotage you. Start treating your mind like a conversation partner, not a dictator. When it speaks, listen, but verify. Question with wisdom. Accept only what aligns with your purpose. Because when you stop believing everything you think, you stop living as a victim of your mind and start living as the master of it. Feed your mind with better ingredients, because your thoughts are only as strong as the material you give them. Just like the body can't thrive on junk food, the mind can't grow on mental garbage. Every day, you're feeding your mind through conversations, content, news, entertainment, the people you surround yourself with. The question is, what's on your mental menu? If it's constant negativity, drama, gossip, and distraction, don't be surprised if your life feels heavy and directionless. You can't expect clarity from chaos. You see, your mind is like a garden, and every piece of information is a seed. Some seeds produce weeds, worry, doubt, envy. Others produce flowers, confidence, wisdom, peace. The harvest depends entirely on what you choose to plant. Most people aren't living with a lack of talent or opportunity. They're living with a polluted mindset. They fill their minds with noise and wonder why they can't hear their own intuition anymore. Start curating what you consume. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to voices that lift you higher. Spend time around people who talk about ideas, not people, because the conversations you keep are shaping the person you're becoming. If you spend your days listening to complainers, you'll start thinking like one. If you keep company with problem solvers, you'll start seeing solutions where others see setbacks. Your environment is not neutral. It's either feeding your growth or starving it. Guard your inputs like you would guard your health. Limit the constant scroll of social media, the endless comparison, the opinions that drain your energy. The world loves to feed your fears because fear sells. But wisdom feeds your strength, and wisdom takes effort to seek. Pick up a great book instead of mindless content. Journal instead of scrolling. Reflect instead of reacting. The quality of your inner world determines the quality of your outer world. Remember, your mind is always eating something: thoughts, stories, beliefs, perspectives. And what you feed it daily becomes who you are monthly, yearly, and eventually permanently. If you want a sharper mind, feed it knowledge. If you want a peaceful spirit, feed it gratitude. If you want an unstoppable will, feed it discipline. The menu you choose today becomes the mindset you live with tomorrow. So be intentional. Don't feed your mind leftovers of other people's opinions or stale beliefs from your past. Feed it fresh ideas, inspiring wisdom, and powerful truths. Because when you nourish your mind with greatness, greatness begins to flow out of you naturally, effortlessly, and abundantly. Learn the art of perspective, not emotion. Because emotion will make you react, but perspective will help you respond with wisdom. Most people don't suffer because of what happens to them. They suffer because of how they see what happens to them. It's never just the event, it's the interpretation. Two people can go through the same storm, yet one grows stronger and the other gives up completely. The difference isn't the circumstance, it's the perspective. When you think only through emotion, you live on a roller coaster, high when things go right, crushed when they don't. You become a slave to external events. constantly pulled by moods and moments. But when you develop perspective, you rise above that. You start seeing life from a higher floor. You don't just feel the pain, you ask what it's trying to teach you. You don't just face a problem, you study it, like a wise teacher giving you homework for growth. Emotion screams for attention. Perspective whispers for understanding. Emotion says, "This is unfair." Perspective says, "This is preparing me." Emotion looks at the moment. Perspective looks at the meaning. The great thinkers, the calm leaders, the resilient souls, they all learned how to step back before stepping in. They don't allow their feelings to dictate their decisions. They use their emotions as signals, not as steering wheels. When someone hurts you, emotion says, retaliate. Perspective says, they're showing you who they are. Now you know how to move. When life delays your plans, emotion says, it's over. Perspective says, maybe it's a redirection. When you fail, emotion says, I'm done. Perspective says, now I know what doesn't work, I'm closer than before. Learning the art of perspective means building space between what happens and how you respond. It's learning to pause, breathe, and think before you move. That pause is power. It's where wisdom lives. That's how you stop being reactive and start being strategic. Emotion belongs to the moment, but perspective belongs to the future. And winners live in the future. Train your mind to see beyond the surface. When others panic, observe. When others complain, analyze. When others quit, adjust. The world doesn't belong to the most emotional. It belongs to those who can stay composed when everything around them is chaos. So, the next time life shakes you, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this shaping in me? Because emotion will make you bitter, but perspective will make you better. The goal isn't to stop feeling, it's to start seeing. When you master that, no situation can destroy your peace, because you've learned how to see from the top while others are still stuck in the storm. Build a thinking system, not just motivation. Motivation is powerful, but it's fleeting. It's like a spark. It can light a fire, but without fuel, that fire dies quickly. That's why so many people feel inspired one day and lost the next. They heard a great speech, watched a powerful video, or read a moving quote, and for a moment, their spirit caught flame. But a few days later, they're back to the same patterns, the same doubts, the same results. Why? Because they built emotion, not a system. A thinking system is what sustains you when motivation fades. It's the structure that keeps your mind disciplined, sharp, and consistent, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation says, go hard today, but a thinking system says, show up every day. Motivation runs on emotion, systems run on intention. And success doesn't belong to the most motivated, it belongs to the most consistent thinkers. You need a system for feeding your mind, a system for reflection, a system for checking your attitude, a system for aligning your daily habits with your bigger goals. For example, make reading a non-negotiable. 10 pages of wisdom a day may not seem much, but over a year, that's 650 pages of growth. Write down your thoughts not just to remember them, but to organize them. Because an unorganized mind is like a messy room. Even the valuable things get lost in the clutter. Schedule quiet time for thinking. Most people schedule meetings, work, and entertainment, but never time for reflection. Yet, that's where breakthroughs are born. Every day, spend a few minutes asking yourself questions like, what did I learn today? What did I think about most? Did my thoughts serve me or sabotage me? This kind of mental check-in keeps you aware and in control. Your thinking system is your internal operating software. If it's outdated, you'll keep crashing in the same areas of life. You can't run 2025 dreams on a 2015 mindset. So upgrade it constantly with new ideas, better routines, and higher standards. If something isn't working, don't just complain about the outcome. Examine the thought process behind it. Correct thinking is not about being perfect, it's about being aware. And here's the truth: discipline will always outperform enthusiasm. Anyone can feel motivated for a moment, but it takes a system to stay grounded for a lifetime. The great achievers didn't rely on mood, they relied on method. They built daily mental habits that kept them clear, calm, and committed, whether they felt like it or not. So, stop chasing motivation like it's magic. Build a foundation instead. Create a routine that forces your mind to grow, to stretch, to reflect. Let your thoughts be trained, not left to chance. Because when you build a thinking system, you no longer depend on the weather of emotion. You live by the climate of discipline. And that's when success stops being temporary and starts becoming who you are. So, my friends, here's the truth. If you can learn to think correctly, you won't have to chase success. Success will start finding you. Because right thinking produces right choices, and right choices create the right life. Don't just let the world tell you what to think, decide how you will think. Because the day you master your thoughts, you master your life.